You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. We've got a really amazing next guest. She is certified in neuro leadership. She's a certified master business coach, which is a designation held by less than 2% of the coaches globally. She is an author of the book, Choosing Greatness, an evidence-based approach to achieving exceptional outcomes. Right here, I've got a copy. Christina Curtis, welcome to America Trends.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm very excited that you're here. I haven't finished the whole book, but I've been reading through it, and I love all the things, all the tips that you're giving, and you've got an incredible story that I want to talk about. When did your book come out, first of all?
It is out. It came out last week in New York. We had a big launch at Barnes & Noble, which was really fun in New York. It was exciting to see the book finally off my computer screen and onto the shelves.
I bet. Congratulations. How long did you work on it?
3 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
Well, I'm a mom, right? You're a working parent and you think, okay, got it. When am I going to fit this in? So we made it work, but it took a little longer than I thought.
That's incredible. So I don't even know where to start because I have so many questions. The first thing I started with was, that you're a master coach and you're certified. And I love that, this accreditation that puts you in a top 2%, or I don't say top 2, but only 2%, because I think everyone and their grandma is calling themselves a life coach these days. And I mean, it's true. I meet a lot of them.
True.
And I really think, where do you get off saying that you're a life coach? But I mean, you have done the work, done the studies, you've lived this life. You're a mom, first of all, that gives you enough, gives you enough credit right there. But so tell me how long that process took for the accreditation.
Yeah, well, continuous learning is something I've been doing for a while. So I took my master's in organizational psychology and then was already in the coaching world and thought, gosh, how does coaching progress? The master coach is actually proving you have enough hours, and then you take an exam and record your calls to make sure you have high quality output. So that process probably took 1.5 years.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
I've been doing it for 20 years. And so my shingle's been up, my sign's been up for a while. I've been working in this industry.
That's amazing. And then specifically, I wanted to also talk to you about neuro leadership, because that's a term I think I've heard, but I really didn't know what it was. So I was doing a little bit of reading about it. Can you talk to me about what neuro leadership really means?
Dr. David Rock actually created the Neuro Leadership Institute. And what we're looking at is, how does the brain operate at work? Because we can all think of how we want to show up at work and then enter into an environment where all these things are coming at us. And we have to step back and say, how does the brain actually process information? How do we build relationships from a brain perspective? How can we optimize our outcomes from a brain perspective? And that's what the study of neuro leadership is. It's neuroscience combined with leadership and the cross point between the two.
It's pretty fascinating, and I was reading some bullet points about decision making and problem solving, emotion regulation, collaboration with others, and facilitating change, and how those bullet points are not just, oh, you wake up in the morning and I'm a good leader. It is it ties into how your brain works, and so is it something that is nurture versus nature versus nurture? Are people born this way?
No, I don't. I think people are born with a predisposition to show up in certain ways. Some are more charismatic. Some tend to be more extroverted versus introverted. But that doesn't make you a good or bad leader with either style. It's how you choose to show up and modulate your behavior. There's a really interesting study actually around the brain, which I love. I'm a big proponent of think about things this way, because if you take someone and put them into an fMRI machine, which, you just put them in the office and move them into this machine, which measures how their brain is working and functioning, and you ask them to talk about a leader with whom they have a really strong working relationship, 14 parts of their brain light up. So think about that. It's like they're dialed in, they're activated, they're ready, they're listening, they want to help. But if you have them talk about someone, a leader with whom they have a negative relationship, only 6 parts of the brain activate and 11 deactivate, meaning they're literally shutting down and saving their resources for Amazon shopping later. And the 6 parts of the brain that are activated are related to self-protection. So you're no longer goal-directed behavior focused, you are self-protective behavior focused. So the brain, we can learn so much, and have in the past 10 years with this explosion of research in this area, of how do we optimize the way we engage with people from a brain perspective to get the most out of our own results at work.
Wow, that's really fascinating stuff. I want to break down the title of your book because there's so much in it. And I love, first of all, choosing greatness.
Yeah.
Two words there that are important: choosing, because we can make a choice every day how we show up. And I think it's very, I think maybe easy for people to get into a pity party mode or I would do this, but if, woe is me, these are all the things going against me, so I can't. But we can choose. And then also the other word is greatness. And I saw a quote in your book that says, avoid the temptation to tolerate mediocrity. And I love that line. I mean, there are some days where I'm like, I'm just going to sit on the couch and I'm going to be mediocre and I'm going to love it.
But then you're choosing it.
I'm choosing it.
You're
and it's
choosing it.
Because the next day I'm going to go after it and hustle.
Yeah.
But, and that's part of my self-care routine that I choose for myself because I know I need that. But so, talk to me about, how you came up with this title.
Yeah. Choosing it was really, it probably took me 2 years to land on a title. We went through many iterations, but I'm a strong proponent of you can choose how you engage with your life and you can choose what outcomes you want to create and run after those. I really hear oftentimes in my industry of just coaching different people, thousands over the years of people saying, I don't feel like I'm living up to my full potential. I mean, is this all I'm supposed to achieve or is there more? And the answer is yes, you just have to choose to change the way you're engaging with the world around you to get different outcomes. And we operate 42% of the day on autopilot, so we actually don't choose how we respond very often. In fact, most of the time we just keep responding the way we've responded in the past and then get the same results and the same relationship challenges. If you're in my house, we argue about the same thing we did last year, right? It's like this constant habitual pattern that we have to say, hey, wait a second, let's stop. What outcome do we want to achieve and how do we have to engage to get there? That's why choosing became such a powerful word around this title, because you can choose. The problem is when you choose something that isn't naturally the way you would respond, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And then we automatically go back to the way we behaved before. It's like for me, working out is hard. I find working out really hard, but I choose to do it. And at minute 3, when my brain's like, Christina, time to get off the treadmill. Netflix is calling. I have to choose to be really uncomfortable and push through it. And actually, interestingly, it gets better. It's just that spike.
It does get better. Choosing. It's the making the decision. And, so I want to talk about habits, how to interrupt your habits that are hijacking your happiness, which is an interesting term, which I read. First of all, I need to talk about the story in your book that you actually did experience a carjacking.
I did.
So this was a pivotal, you had kids in the car and this happened to you. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about that experience? Because I feel like it's very informative for others to hear that we can overcome things that happen to us and then choose happiness and greatness after something, pretty scary happens to us.
Yeah, it was actually a really big wake-up call for me. And I started the book a year after that, once I got through the trauma of it all.
Yeah.
But we were just driving. I was driving the kids to school. We were late, as one does as a working mom, right? I was like, okay, everybody grab your lunch. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we were pulling into the parking lot of their school, and the passenger door flew open. And a man jumped in. And, my initial response was, oh, it must be my husband, right? He must have seen us. I don't know. Logic, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I saw it was a stranger, and he had a knife, and he put a knife up to my throat and slammed the passenger door. So we were in the car now, trapped together with my 2 kids in the back seat.
And how old were they at the time?
I want to say like 9 and 7 or 8 and 6. They were young, but old enough to know what was going on, or old enough to process that something was really wrong.
Not okay. Yeah.
Not okay. And I actually went into automatic panic, which is totally understandable and actually usually keeps us safe. So I tried to hit a post. I tried to drive in oncoming traffic. And in my mind, I was like, if I get into an accident, someone's going to save us and we're going to be okay. And then it was my son who interrupted this panicked state, because the more frenetic I got, by the way, the more frenetic the guy in the passenger seat got. And my son just whispered. It was so quiet, but it really woke me up. He said, Mom, what should I do? What should I do?
Wow.
And I thought, oh, got it. No one's coming. right? This is for us to figure out. This is for me, actually, to solve.
Yeah.
And I was able to get really calm and slow down my breathing. And as I did so, I was able to think again, right? Because when you're panicked, your prefrontal cortex, your thinking goes offline because you're in automatic response time. So when I started thinking, I ran through options. And eventually we moved through so many options, including an option, by the way, I will say, of distracting my kids, where I had this gentleman unlock my phone and offered the kids some TV.
I
just
love
so
that.
They could be distracted.
I was really moved by that part of in the book, actually, because that is such a mom reaction. It's like, keep my kids preoccupied so they're not going to see what's happening. And gosh, we have to take a quick break right in the middle of the story. And I really appreciate you talking about that with us, because I know it is traumatic and probably brings up a lot. But
No, it's all good.
I feel like it's really important for people to hear these types of stories and see then you on the other side of it, you know, with this book and all this greatness. So everyone at home, we got Christina Curtis. She is author and certified master business coach, and we'll be right back with her right after this quick break.